All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at some incredibly fascinating research on the psychology of people who feel everything deeply. You know, if you've ever been told you're just too sensitive, well, you're definitely going to want to pay close attention to what we're unpacking today. We're going to look at why your deep sensitivity absolutely isn't a character flaw. It's not you just trying to make your own life exhausting, right? It is an actual, measurable, neurological reality.
So let me ask you, do you feel everything deeply? Just think about it for a second. Are you the type of person who constantly replays tiny passing conversations in your head for days on end? Do you notice the smallest details, like maybe a strange look or a really slight shift in someone's tone that literally everyone else in the room completely misses? For some of us, this isn't just a matter of overthinking, like we so often joke about. It's a shared, intensely physical experience, and it stems directly from how your nervous system is wired to process information.
And hey, if you're sitting there thinking you're totally alone in this, consider this stat. Around 15 to 20% of the world's population are what's known as highly sensitive persons, or HSPs. To put that into perspective, that's nearly 1 in 5 people. 1 in 5 people are wired from birth to process data with extreme intensity. It's a massive chunk of the population. And yet, because all of this intense processing happens on the inside, while you're still smiling and acting perfectly fine on the outside, it goes completely misunderstood by society. Okay, Section 1, the hidden weight. You are a nonverbal scanner. Picture this. You've got a friend acting totally fine at a bar right after a really tough breakup. He's laughing loudly, he's clinking glasses, proudly telling everyone he feels totally free. The whole table buys it, hook, line, and sinker. They're patting him on the back. But the sensitive person's brain, it's quietly scanning way beneath that surface. That friend is using this tiny 7% slice of communication, just the words. But look at the rest of the data. You've got 38% tone of voice and 55% body language. Highly sensitive people are constantly forced to process this hidden 93% of the truth. They notice that the smile doesn't actually reach his eyes, they hear that little swallowed sigh, they catch those micro-expressions that flash by in a fraction of a second. And this triggers an instant nervous system alert. The data just doesn't match. It's kind of like touching a hot stove. Your brain instantly knows something is wrong without you even having to consciously think about it. Moving on to Section 2, the physical toll. Emotional sponges and the broken gatekeeper. Now, processing all of that hidden data naturally takes a massive toll on you. It is not just mental exhaustion. It is profoundly physical. When you see someone in pain, or you sit next to someone who is secretly seething with anger, your mirror neuron system kicks into high gear. You actually simulate their emotional state directly inside your own body. And this sheer exhaustion happens because of a broken mechanism right in the brain. The thalamus gatekeeper is basically asleep at the wheel. See, in most people, the thalamus acts as a filter for background noise. It says, okay, ignore the air conditioner, ignore the background music, just focus on this conversation. But for the sensitive brain, this gatekeeper is completely off duty. So a coworker chewing gum, the clacking of keyboards, the strong perfume of a girl sitting nearby, the car horns outside, all of it hits your brain at the exact same time and at the exact same volume. It is a screaming physical overload. And this physical overload is severely compounded by your depth of processing. Basically, your brain acts as an absolute supercomputer. Any piece of information that goes in gets automatically broken down, turned over, and cross-referenced against past memories and future risks. Now, this produces extremely high-quality work, but the price of quality is time. So when you're forced into a really tight deadline or you have to constantly jump between tasks, this supercomputer gets violently interrupted. The pressure completely floods your brain with the stress hormone cortisol, and it pushes you into total panic mode. That is exactly why multitasking or intense time pressure makes a sensitive person completely freeze up. But wait, it gets trickier because this physical overload spills directly over into your social behaviors, leading to what I call the can't say no disease. Neuroscience actually shows us that for deep feelers, social rejection is processed in the exact same neural area as physical pain. Let that sink in. So, when a coworker texts you on your day off, asking you to cover their shift, you immediately picture their disappointment. And that imagined sadness bounces right back into your own body, creating real physical discomfort. Because of this, saying yes actually acts as a quick painkiller. You end up completely sacrificing your personal boundaries and you exhaust yourself just to escape the agonizing guilt of feeling selfish.
Which brings us to Section 3, the paradigm shift. Evolution, not defect.
Here's the thing you really need to understand. Nature didn't breed this sensitivity out of us because it's actually a survival strategy.
Back in ancient times, the tribe absolutely needed watchers, people who could sense a storm approaching, notice subtle hidden dangers in the bushes, or feel the unrest brewing in the community. Psychologist Jay Belsky explains this beautifully using a famous comparison: dandelions versus orchids. Most people in the world are dandelions. They're tough, they can grow almost anywhere, they handle bad, stressful environments just fine. But they rarely bloom into something truly breathtaking. Sensitive people, you are orchids. And yes, orchids are extremely sensitive. They will wither incredibly fast in harsh, toxic environments that are full of pressure and loud noises. But when placed in the right environment with understanding and space, an orchid achieves unmatched brilliance, leadership, and creativity that a dandelion simply cannot match. You are not defective. You just require a specific environment to bloom.
Section 4. Master your power. Actionable strategies to protect your energy.
So how do we actually do this? Because the goal here isn't to force an orchid to act like a dandelion. We know that just leads to withering. To stop withering and start thriving, you must master these 3 steps: actively set boundaries, unapologetically accept solitude, and consciously use beauty. These aren't just, cute self-care ideas. Mastering these 3 actionable strategies is absolutely crucial. It's how you stop the exhaustion and fiercely protect your energy bank so you can actually thrive in a world that prefers average settings. Let's break them down.
Step 1. You need to treat your energy exactly like a bank account with a limited balance. You absolutely have to set clear boundaries. If you just leave the vault open and let every coworker, friend, and family member walk in and withdraw from your emotional bank account whenever they feel like it, you are going to go bankrupt. Simple as that. Saying no is going to be physically uncomfortable at first, as we just learned, but it is the ultimate necessary shield. It is the only way to protect your limited energy reserves from being drained to absolute zero.
Step 2 is accepting solitude, or to use the fancy scientific term for it, allostatic load reduction. After a really long day of sensory bombardment at work, coming home and just sitting in a dark, quiet room by yourself, that is not you being antisocial. It's not you being depressed. It is a strict biological necessity. Your body literally needs this complete and total disconnection to clear out the heavy buildup of cortisol and stress hormones. You absolutely must have silence to refill an empty emotional gas tank. I really want you to let this quote sink in. Do not feel guilty when you need to be alone. That is when you are giving yourself emergency care. When your partner complains that you come home quiet and you just don't want to talk, you need to recognize that you don't hate them. Your tank is just completely empty. This solitude isn't a luxury. It is literal emergency care for your nervous system. You have got to protect your recharge time fiercely, and you have to do it without a single ounce of guilt.
And finally, step 3, vantage sensitivity. Look, if your nervous system amplifies pain, the flip side is that it also amplifies joy. You don't just experience life in standard definition. You get to experience it in billions of brilliant, vivid shades. A really beautiful song can send electric waves right down your spine. A glowing sunset can bring you profound, overwhelming peace. You must actively use this to your advantage. Deliberately seek out art, nature, and beauty. It acts as an incredibly powerful antidote to balance out all the emotional toxins and heavy energy you absorb throughout the day. Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. And it's a bit of a provocative question I want to leave you chewing on. Will you stop forcing your orchid to live like a dandelion? Look, you have a high-powered machine of a brain. Feeling and living deeply is only a cruel sentence if you don't understand how it works. But when you finally take the wheel and steer it, it is a wonderful, rare privilege. So, take these actionable strategies. Aggressively protect your energy bank, embrace your absolute need for solitude, set those boundaries, and start blooming on your own terms. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I really hope this helps you master the hidden power of feeling deeply.